Hey everybody, it's Mike, and I have some updated info about this year's Vanguard GT. I told you guys you were going to be getting updates, and we're to the end of March. We are 1 month out, so it's time for me to start letting you guys know what's going to be going on. So I got a couple things that I want to talk to you guys about today, and then just a couple of quick reminders. So hopefully I can keep this short and to the point. We will see how that goes. So the first thing I want to do is talk to you guys about how we're going to be entering results this year and how you're going to be able to access the pairings and all of the results while the tournament is going on and after the tournament. So I just kind of gotta random impulse to try throwing together something to do this instead of using something that already exists. So I did, and I threw something together with Google Forms and Google Sheets. So that's how we're going to be doing it this year. So all the participants, you're all going to receive a link to this form at some point before the tournament begins. This is the form that you will fill out after every game. There will be one additional form that I will send a URL to for the end of tournament, which will have your favorite opponent votes and players' choice votes. But other than that, it's just the one URL you go to put in everything. There's no access control on it, so don't send it around. If anybody wants to try to figure out the URL from looking at the video screen there and go put stuff in, that's fine. I'm going to delete whatever results people put in to test between now and setting up the tournament anyway. But let's zoom in a little bit more if I can. Just to tell people what it is. I'm currently logged in because this is again a Google form. So if you have a Google account, use an Android phone, whatever, it'll know who you are. But that's not required. You can use this thing without having to log in. You literally just go to the URL. And then after every round, you pick, okay, it's round one. Let's say I was on table one. All the numbers are in the drop down. Who is on table one? It's a little hard to say at this point, but we can actually say who's going to be on table one because that's a challenge that was just made. Mark Howard's going to be playing Alex Chavez on table one. So in here, let's say I'm putting in results for Alex, and I would pick Mark. The drop down, there we go. I filled in player and opponent. Was it a good game? So this is just the sportsmanship part. If you feel like your opponent played in a sportsman or sportsperson-like manner, according to the way it's been laid out on the tournament site, generally was a good sport, resolved issues in a amicable and courteous manner, and was generally fun to play against. You have no serious complaints about them, then you check yes here. If you check no, I will come ask you why, because I consider that a serious issue. So this is you check no here if you think someone does something that the TO should have a word with them about, possibly, or if they get a few of these, then they'll get ejected from the event. So this isn't like I'm voting whether or not this person is my favorite opponent. This is just normal sportsmanship kind of stuff. They were fine. Or if something really unfortunate happens, then you check no, and I'll come find out what's up. Scenario points, literally, you pick the number from the drop down of how many scenario points you got during the game, depending on what scenario you're playing. So if, for example, we are playing pillage and you ended, let's say you ended on just 2. You had 2 objectives at the end, then you scored 2 points, you pick 2 here. Your opponent's scenario points, pillage is out of 7. So if you got 2, let's say your opponent got 5. So that's it. There's no math, there's no nothing. You literally just put in how many points you scored for the scenario you're playing. Points routed, again, this is just a number out of 2,300. This is how many points you killed. You don't have to do any math of like adding or subtracting anything or figuring out a bonus. You just tell me the flat number of points you killed. So like, let's say it was 1,500, and let's say your opponent killed the same amount, 1,500, just to pick some things. Now, which bonus objective did you pick? I'm going to go over this next. But just pick from the drop down whichever one you chose. I like having these just so I can tell what's going on. Let's say you picked hold the line. I'll tell you guys what that one actually is here in a few minutes. So you say which one you picked, and then you say, yeah, sure, I did that thing. I successfully held the line. And then you hit submit. That's it. And your response has been recorded. And if you just leave your device's browser on this page, then after the next round, all you have to do is come back and hit submit another response, and it'll reload the form, and then you can say round 2 and put those in, and that's it. That's pretty much all you got to do. So that's how we're doing results this year. Now, in terms of seeing that data and seeing who you're playing, if you go to Vanguard GT, well, shit, I'll just show you. Go to Vanguard GT.org, and you go to results. 2023 results has a link to the full results. Hey, there they are. Look. So here it'll list all of the players, their score, total attrition, strength of schedule, sorted by battle. Once the event is over, I'll come back and add the sports and appearance and overall numbers here. But then you can just flip through to look at round 1 pairings. We know 2 round 1 pairings already because they're challenges. So Alex is playing Mark and Chris is playing Eric. And then for the round results, you can see that Alex has already put his in. He said he lost because he put in, that his opponent got 5 victory points and he got 2. And Alex's overall score for this round is 7, with 1,500 points worth of attrition. And obviously when Mark puts in his numbers as well, they'll be there. I will be eyeballing the results to make sure that you and your opponent put in matching numbers. Some of you might be wondering what happens if you go in and you put in another result for yourself after the first one. And the answer is they will both be entered into the spreadsheet, but only the first one will get used for these calculations. So if you put something in incorrectly and then you go back and you put in updated numbers, you just have to come by and let me know. And I'll delete the first one that you put in that was wrong. And then it should just automatically update. It says these update automatically every 5 minutes across the bottom there, or you can just refresh this page if you don't see what you're looking for. All of the rounds are like pre-populated. There's nothing in there yet, but as we roll forward, this is the only screen you need to come back to. And again, the link is if you go to vanguardgt.org and click the results link from the menu, it's under the 2023 results, and that's about the easiest I can make it. Anyone who asks, that will be the answer. Go to vanguardgt.org, click results, and click under 2023 results. I will still repeat that several times for people who want to know where it is, because people expect it to be somewhere hard to find, and I've tried to make it someplace easy to find and intuitive to find, so no one will think to look first. They'll still ask, because that's the world that we live in. These things are usually complicated and difficult and not intuitive. So there you go. Now you all know, and if anybody asks, you can tell them, and maybe I won't have to answer every time. Somebody else will fill it in for me. All right, so let's. So that's it. That's where you see the results. And again, I will send you guys the form link to enter results just before the event starts, probably via email. I might make like a shortened version of that, or like a QR code or something like that. Excuse me. And have it available so you don't have to try to like type anything or I won't have to like blast an email to everyone for them to click on or whatever. Just make it something really simple like that for you to get to it. But yeah, it's just it is literally just this one simple form. You fill it out. The only math you have to do is figuring out how many points you killed and how many points your opponents killed, and all the rest of it is just taken care of you, taken care of for you. And you can see them again. Here's one that was just sitting here. You refresh. There's the results for that one. Should be pretty straightforward, I hope. So that's the quick demo of how that's going to work. We will see what kind of issues arise during the course of the weekend. But like I said, like this is just some Google Forms and Google Sheets that I wrote, so I'll be able to fix them quickly and easily. Yeah. So now let's talk about the bonus objectives in a little bit more detail, because I said I would explain them. So here we are. These are on the Vanguard GT website under the rules section. So the way these work are before every round, after you know who you're playing and who your opponent is and what their list is, and like the scenario and the table map and all that. Like once you know all of the information for the round, but you have rolled no dice yet to determine like table side or anything like that, or even where you're putting objectives, both you and your opponent should pick one of these bonus objectives to attempt. You do this in secret. You do not tell your opponent. There will be a page in your player's pack that is printed for you when you get here, where you can make note of these things. That is important because you can only attempt each one once. So if there's one that's really, really easy for your army, you don't get to just do that one every round. You can only do it once. And so there's a bit of a strategy here to trying to pick the one that best fits the specific round that you're playing, whether that's due to who your opponent is, or due to the scenario and the way your army plays, or whatever. So having some idea of which of these are going to work best for you, so you don't have to spend a whole lot of time figuring out what it is probably a good idea. And again, you can go review these things on the rules section of Vanguard GT website. So you pick the objective you're going to attempt for that round. You jot it down to keep it secret from your opponent. If one of these is something that can happen during the game, it's not at the end of the game kind of condition, then when it happens, you can point out to your opponent so they can verify that you've done it. And then when you enter your results at the end, you just pick which one of these objectives you attempted that round and whether you got it or not. And that's good for 2 bonus points out of the 16 total. So it's kind of a big deal. So I try to have a bit of a variety to work for a variety of army lists and army play styles. So it's not just sort of the same thing over and over again, and people have a pretty good chance of picking some that work for them. Some of them are dependent on your opponent's army, but there are more than 5 options. So I don't think I've hit a situation yet where anyone has, like in the last round, been like, okay, I've only got due to my opponent's army, I can't pick a bonus objective. Like I've picked 4 other ones, and the only ones that are left are ones that I can't possibly do because of my opponent's list. There should still be plenty of options. And the objectives are claim the field, hamstring, hold the line, look out, sir, buy precious, quality over quantity, sever the head, and strengthen numbers. And they each work kind of like this. Claim the field is like a board control one. At the end of at least one of your turns, have at least 3 unit strength completely in each table quadrant. So just splitting the table in 4. And that's at the end of any of your turns. So if you have a heavy scouting army, you can potentially do this at the end of turn 1 in 1 round. No big deal. And it is table quadrants, not table sectors, like for control. So it's a little bit easier. But yeah, at the end of any one of your turns, at any point during the game, if you've got 3 unit strength completely in each of the 4 quadrants of the table, you can check this one off. Hamstring is the next one. That is rout all enemy units with a movement value greater than 7. So kill all the fast stuff, kill all the cavalry, kill all the flying stuff. if it goes faster than 7. So like wights and things like that, like slower flyers, regard tree leapers, I think only go 7, so they don't count. But like cavalry that goes speed 8, things that fly at speed 10, or mounted individuals, things like that. Anything that goes faster than 7. And of course, you can only select this objective if your opponent begins the game with at least one unit with a movement value greater than 7. So that's enemy list dependent. Hold the line is end the game with a higher total unit strength completely on your table half than your opponent has completely on your table half. So that's kind of the opposite of invade a little bit. So obviously you don't want to pick this one in a scenario where you need to send a lot of stuff across the board. You want to pick this for something where you can keep the majority of your army on your table half, and you keep your opponent out of your table half, not his table half. So that one is not that hard to do for armies that have a lot of unit strength or that are a little slow. Like if you're used to fighting mostly on your half the table anyway, and killing whatever your opponent sends across, that one might be a good option for you. Next one is Lookout, Sir. And that's have more sources of inspiring still alive than your opponent at the end of the game. You may only select this objective if your opponent begins the game with at least one source of inspiring. Yes, the name is, of course, a throwback to Warhammer Fantasy, sometimes my roots show. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. If you're playing against, Night Stalkers or somebody else who, for some reason, doesn't bring any sources of inspiring, then you can't pick it. Otherwise, you can. If you're the kind of army that goes very, very lean on inspiring sources and only has 1 or 2, this one might be a little tricky for you. But if you're someone who really likes taking individuals and you start the game with like 4, and most people only have 2 or 3, this one might be kind of a very easy sort of gimme for you one round. If you're like, okay, I don't know what else I'm going to be able to do this round. I'm probably going to lose this one, but I kind of start with this objective satisfied, and if I can keep them all alive till the end, then I'll be fine. You might want to pick it for like a situation like that. The next one is My Precious, which is, of course, a Lord of the Rings reference. Before the game begins, select one enemy unit with a magical artifact worth at least 30 points. Route that unit before the end of the game. You may only select this objective if your opponent begins the game with at least one unit with a magical artifact worth at least 30 points. So that one is of course, very dependent on your opponent's list. And it is not every unit that has a magical artifact worth at least 30 points. You just pick one. So when you pick this one, just like jot down which unit it is, and then when you route that unit, point it out to your opponent that you did, so they know that's a thing. And again, that's one that you can do over the course of the game. It's not a how the board state turns out at the end. So if you have a game that is not going great, or a game where you're like, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to win this one, but I'm pretty sure I can kill that thing. This is a good moral victory. Like, I'm going down, but I'm taking out that one unit with me at some point during this game. I'm sure I can do that. It's a pretty good option for cases like that. Quality over quantity is keep your highest point cost unit alive for the entire game. If you have a tie, like you have 2 units that cost the same number of points, then obviously when you select this one, jot down which of your units it is, and then show your opponent at the end of the game that's the one you picked, and that's the unit you selected, so they can verify whether you actually did that one or not. That one can be kind of fun, but can be a little difficult, because usually if you've sunk a lot of points into a unit, you have to put it in danger, right? Like you've tooled it up to go out and do some fighting. It's got to do some work. So that one can be a little challenging, depending exactly on the match and your army composition. If your army has a lot of redundancy and a lot of units that aren't terribly expensive, then you might have 2 or 3 units that are all worth the same amount, and you can easily keep one of them a little bit safer than the others. Again, kind of depends mostly on your list, rather than your opponent's list or the scenario you're playing or whatever. Just 2 left. Sever the Head. route more non-scoring enemy units than your opponent routes. You may only select this objective if your opponent begins the game with at least one non-scoring unit. Right. So this is go character hunting, go individual hunting, or war machine hunting, or something like that. I used to say route more, individuals, but then I'm like, yeah, but what if somebody shows up with like 6 war engines and only 2 individuals? I'm like, well, then you could just run through all 6 of their war engines. Why shouldn't that count? So I changed this one a couple years ago to non-scoring enemy units. At a time when we were afraid that people were going to show up with 6 war engine lists, and I want to give people some additional incentive and an additional reward for running those things off the table. And now it's just non-scoring. So obviously, not a whole lot of armies have no non-scoring units, but if you're playing like ogres or something like that, obviously you can't pick this one if if they pick all scoring units. But most armies have at least a couple of individuals back there, and if you have like a duelist that really likes to go character hunting, then this is a pretty easy option for you. And finally, the last one is strength in numbers. Have a higher total unit strength still alive than your opponent at the end of the game. This is a great option for horde armies, rats, goblins, maybe some undead builds, things like that. Doesn't matter whether you win or lose. Doesn't matter where the unit strength is on the table. They just have to still be on the table. So if you're playing like a trash or horde army, and you're facing a pretty lean elite list, maybe, then this is a pretty good option for you for that round. So look them over, think about them. Obviously, I don't expect anyone to like change their army to make sure that they can do these. That's not the point. But you should at least look over them and ought to be able to eyeball at least 5 of these. That you're like, I'm pretty sure at some point in some situations I can do that one, so I'll keep that one in the back of my head. So they're fun. They add some asymmetry and a little bit of mystery to the games because you don't know which one your opponent is trying to do, and you're both there's at least one thing worth points that you are trying to do that your opponent isn't also trying to do, or maybe they are, and you both pick the same objective, and you don't know. I like it because I think it adds a little bit of flavor. It makes the game a little bit different. It gives you one more thing to think about. If things are going poorly in the game for you, you can always be like, all right, here it is, turn 4. I'm clearly not going to win this one. I'm just going to go all out on trying to get those 2 points because I know I can bank that no matter what else happens, and give you that nice moral victory, that nice late game thing to do for points when you're not getting a whole lot of points in other places because it's just not going well for you. So I think that's it. That's really all I want to talk about today. That's a big couple of things because that's the bonus objectives, where to find the game results, or where to direct people who are not attending if they would like to follow along over the course of the event. That is vanguardgt.org/results. That spreadsheet is there now, so we can go look at it. I'll go delete the one test bit of data I just put in it right now. So when you go, it'll be a bunch of blanks except for the roster, but people can at least see where it is and can find it easily later. And I went over the bonus objectives. I just got a couple of other reminders. First, lists are due in 3 weeks from today because the tournament is 4 weeks from today. So we are coming down to the wire. So that means by Friday the 21st, you should have your list to me via email. You can send it to me at to@vanguardgt.org. And if anyone has any dietary restrictions or food allergies or anything like that, please let me know. Robin is currently putting together the meal plans for the event for the weekend. We'll probably do the same stuff that we always do in terms of pizza and like grilled burgers and hot dogs and sandwiches and stuff like that, probably. And we just really need to know if we need anybody who needs gluten-free or anyone who has any other food allergies, or if anybody is a vegetarian or a vegan, if we need to provide those kind of options, we are happy to. If you just let us know. So if you fall into any of those buckets, please just shoot me an email or let me know on Facebook, and I will make a note of that to pass on to Robin while she's figuring out what we're going to eat all weekend. And yeah, I think that's about it. So I showed you guys how to enter results, where to look up the results, the bonus objectives. I reminded you the list to do in 3 weeks, and I asked about dietary restrictions. I think that's my whole list for this time. I will, of course, be back in a few days with more updates on other stuff. As the house gets set up, I will walk you guys around the house so people who haven't been here before, like when they get here, will kind of know which direction they need to go to get to the gaming tables and where the food is and where the bathrooms are and all that stuff. So everybody's on the same page. Other than that, if you got any last minute painting to do, get on that. Tony posted a great shot of his finished army that he's planning on bringing, and it looks really cool. I can't wait to see it in person. And so, yeah, get those last couple of practice games in, get your list finalized, get everything painted up. Vanguard GT is in 1 month. Get excited, and I'll see you guys next time.